Welcome to the Get Organized HQ podcast. I'm your host, Tasha Lawrence. Every week, we share practical strategies for less stress and more peace as we dive into all topics life and home organization. I'm so glad you're here for this week's episode. Today, Corina from Frump Fighters is going to be joining me to talk through her daily routine. Now, Corina is a style and wardrobe expert. I really need her to come to my house, go through my closet, tell me what things to keep and what new pieces I need. Because if you wake up in the morning and you think, I don't know what to wear, then Corina is your girl. She actually made something called the What to Wear Outfit Calendar. Like if you want to just wake up in the morning and look at a calendar and know exactly what to wear, the What to Wear Outfit Calendar, that's for you. But today we are actually going to be talking more about daily routines and how Corina handles just all of the spinning plates. Yes, she runs a whole business helping women find their style, find the pieces that they really feel good in. She also has children and a family and so many life things happening. And it is just a lot to keep track of. So if you have ever felt like you have a lot on your plate, then I know that you are going to relate with Corina's story and some of the strategies that she shares. Definitely stick around to the end of this episode because she shares how she turned her smartphone into a dumb phone. And so if you've ever felt really tied to your phone and like it's taking so much of your time, your phone is always in your pocket, on your person, and it's just so hard to break away from all of the notifications that keep popping up and asking for our attention, I think you're going to love what Corina did to kind of help herself out with that. And that tip may help you too. So glad you're here. Tune in. So Corina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited for today's conversation.
Yeah. So maybe for people who don't know you, can you just kind of give us a brief introduction, who you are, your family, your business, what does a day in the life of Corina entail?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I live in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State. So I call it like the very corner of the United States, one of one of the corners, so to speak. We literally live like right by Canada, right by the water. And so we have all the rainy weather here, but it is beautiful. So we love it. And I have five boys, ages 1 up to 10. So it is pretty busy. It's in that season of life where they're still, pretty dependent on me. I've been married for 14 years, and so life right now looks like I run my own business, Frump Fighters, and I usually work 15 to 20 hours a week on that. And I fit that into the margins. One of my rules is I do not work while the kids are not otherwise taken care of. If they're just like hovering and doing whatever, I am not working. So I do need to fit it into those times when they are either there's a babysitter or they're asleep. And so, we can dive into what a day in the life looks like right now, but it's definitely been changing over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you're talking about like fitting things into the margins. So just share a little bit about like, what does that mean for you? Like, what does that look like? Maybe on even like a week by week basis, where do you have those margins?
Yeah. So, right now it looks like I have a baby that's 1, so not so much a baby anymore, but so he's definitely sleeping all the way through the night. But certainly when he was up in the middle of the night to nurse, or would be up early, the schedule would look a little bit different and there was a lot more flexing. So right now it's a little bit more consistent, but I just wanted to mention there's definitely flexing and it changes, or maybe you go through seasons where you're sick and you don't get up at the same time each day or whatever. But right now, I do love my early mornings. And so I will usually get up at 5, and I get my full hours of sleep. For me, it's like 8 to 9 hours. That means I'm going to sleep at 9. And I get up at 5, and I am usually really excited to get up in the morning. And I think the key thing there has been having a business to work on that I really enjoy. So that gets me up and motivates me. So I have no problem getting up usually. And I'll just kind of go into detail because I like finding out what the routine looks like for other people. So I'll just kind of share what it looks like for us. The kids will usually sleep till about 6:30 or 7. So I have an hour and a half or so where it's totally quiet, and I just love that time. I will usually go ahead and get ready right away when I wake up. And so that means for me putting on an outfit and doing like a 5-minute makeup and my hair. And some of the things so it usually takes me 15 to 20 minutes to actually get put together, but I like doing that right away because then like it's done for the rest of the day. It's ready. And I don't have to take time to come back to the bathroom and do that while the little kids are up. Occasionally I will put that off till later, and the kids will sometimes watch a show while I'm getting ready, or I'll do my makeup out in the dining room while they're eating breakfast. Like sometimes that happens, but some of the things that makes it easier for me to get put together more quickly in the morning is I don't wash my hair every day. And if I wash it, I don't ever blow dry it. I don't take time for things like that. So I'll just let it air dry, or I'll do a braid or something you can do with wet hair. Yeah, again, like I mentioned, makeup, it's like 5 minutes. So I like to have all the products that I'm going to use in one little bag and nothing extra, so that it reminds me like first I do this thing, then this thing, then this thing, and it can go quickly. I do a little bit of dry shampoo for my hair, maybe add some fresh curls, put on a quick outfit, and we're ready to go. And then so while I usually, another thing that I do while I'm getting ready, I'll be listening to my audio Bible, and I have this prayer app, the Echo app, that will just like circulate through prayer requests. So I'll just like be praying while I'm getting ready. And so I've enjoyed that. And then after I'm ready, I get my coffee and I will start my work session. So usually that's starting about 5:30, and I have a nice hour or so of quiet where I will put in some concentrated work, and I try to do the kinds of tasks that require quiet. So either recording videos or really thinking critically and that kind of thing. And the kids will start to stir around 6:37. They'll come in and say good morning, but we've tried to work hard on helping them just entertain themselves for a little while. We'll have breakfast, about half an hour later, but they just know to play. And at this point, of course, there are interruptions. I'm still trying to finish up my work, but we'll just deal with those. And so the baby's still sleeping, but the older ones are usually playing. And then 7:30, we will have breakfast together. And something with breakfast that we'll try to simplify is, yeah, we just have the same types of breakfast on repeat. I don't necessarily have specific days where it's like, it's always oatmeal this day, eggs this day, but I'll just pick one of those, and we'll rotate through those, and they're usually really quick to make. And the kids will prepare. So the kids go to school, the older ones, the school age ones, they go to a nearby school, little private school here. And so they will prepare their own lunches. That's also been really key because I never was one that liked to spend a lot of time in the evening prepping for the next day. I kind of feel like it certainly is really nice when I do that, but it just didn't actually happen because I was just done at the end of the day. So it's nice to know that the kids are going to be taking care of their lunches the next day. So I don't have to do that. The breakfast I make is really simple, so I don't have to really prep for that. I will say there were seasons where I had to do a little bit of prep the night before, especially when I was like nursing a baby, in addition to making breakfast and things like that. But for the most part, we just try to keep it really simple so that everything can be just done in the morning. So they're making their lunches while I make breakfast. And the way that we make sure that the quality of their lunches is good is two things. They have a list of sort of the macronutrients that need to go in every lunch, and they can pick what those are, but it has to be a protein, a fruit, a veggie, and then a little treat. So maybe some animal crackers or whatever it is that we have. And then they have to leave their lunch boxes open for me to evaluate real quick. And then I'll remind them, oh, you need to add this or that. And then they put those away. They have breakfast, they get ready, and the bus picks them up about 8:15, 8:30. So that's for my older three kids. And then I have a morning with the younger ones. And that will look different depending on the day. One thing that has been amazing during this time of having little kids, this season of life, is my sister and I, and it used to be with a good friend of mine, but my sister and I will swap babysitting. So Monday morning, she has my little ones until lunchtime. And so we'll take them right over there. And so they get to play with cousins. And then Thursdays, I take her little kids. So that's what Monday and Thursday mornings look like. Tuesdays, we will always have I'll have a couple hours to work because my mother-in-law will watch the younger two. And then Wednesdays is a full work day for me. So I have a babysitter that watches them most of the day. And that is really nice to know that that's coming up if I haven't been able to squeeze in work time and the other times. Let's see. So yeah, that covered Monday through Thursday. Friday, we're just home. So I'm able to catch up on things at home in the morning. And then all our afternoons pretty much look the same. The two younger ones still nap. So they'll nap and I'll get in a little bit of work time or cleaning up the house and stuff. Our evenings are also pretty similar. Like, unless the kids are doing soccer for a couple of months and then they'll have soccer practices and stuff. But for the most part, we do try to keep them pretty empty. You know, growing up, I was homeschooled. And one of the things I loved about being at home with my siblings all the time is I had really good, just so much time with them that we had really good relationships. And one of the things I wanted to make sure to sort of integrate into our life since our kids go to school is all of that time together at home. So we do try to keep it pretty basic. We don't have a lot of other extracurricular activities. Um, Sometimes we'll do a sport, but they'll all do the same sport so that we're all doing the same thing. Um, and yeah, so we have every other week, we have like a church commitment, we have a small group. But other than that, we're just home together. And so that's been really good. And our evening routine is pretty simple. Our bedtime routine is very fast. When people are over, when we put our kids to bed, they're like, wait, what? They're already in bed? How did that happen? And I think something that's worked is we tell our older kids that they have to do their four things, brush their teeth, go potty, get water, get PJs on. And they just know four things and they have to think through them. And then they know that they're going to have quiet time in bed before they sleep and they can read books or draw or whatever. And the baby, we've just had to work overtime to get him comfortable with like a really quick, it's bedtime. We put PJs on, we pray, we sing, and he goes to sleep. So in 5 minutes, he's like down and he's not crying or anything. So that's been really key, I think, to just help us with our rhythm so that we feel like we have the margin in the evening to just, as adults, my husband and I, to just, we're done with the kids and we can now recharge and just not be on kid duty. So yeah, that's kind of what our routine looks like right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you for walking us through that. And I think a lot of people listening, whether they have small children themselves or just like elements of your day that you're describing, like you said, it's always really interesting to hear what other people are doing and it can spark ideas. I mean, I was even thinking when you were describing how you use your mornings of how people who maybe have like a 9 to 5
Yeah.
they may also like use their mornings. Maybe it's not to work, like they're going to leave the house to work, but that can be that special time for getting things done around the house or like just other things that need to happen. So that is awesome. Um I wanted to dive a little bit. I know we chatted about this beforehand. I wanted to dive into just some of the things you feel like you like are really your strengths, and then the things that are more of a challenge. So, like, let's start with like, what
Mhm.
are things that you feel like you have systems and routines for that are going really well, and some of those maybe things you even already touched on, like going through that daily routine. Um, but like, where I guess the question is, where are there things where you're like, man, this is working really well? And like, if somebody else came to me and was like, how can I like improve my family routine? Like, these are the first things I would suggest.
Yeah. I think the one thing I'm able to do pretty well is sort of manage a lot of spinning plates, so to speak. And I think what goes into that is really evaluating what I'm going to say yes to and what I'm not going to say yes to, because every yes is a no to something else, and every no is a yes to something else. So when someone asks me like, "How do you manage everything?" I basically answer, "I don't," because I there's a lot of things that I don't do. Um, and I think it's a season of life. So right now we're in a season where my husband also owns a business. And so we are focusing on time with our families and then building our businesses. And I think that that's probably going to shift in the next few years. And maybe I'll be a little more hands off with my business. I don't know. But I think it's okay for certain seasons to have a little bit more emphasis on, okay, we're just home more. We're not involved in a whole lot of other things and commitments. And then other seasons are sort of a lot of additional events or things that you are a part of. So I think each person can just really think through that and come to something. that feels like a balance for them, and that feels comfortable. And just be willing to say no to a lot of things that maybe other people will commonly do, like their friends, but if it's just not a good fit. So I think it's also been really key to have the concept of time blocking um, in mind, because that allows you to be flexible with where are you going to fit those blocks in for what's important for you. And that can change from day to day and certainly from season to season, but making sure to prioritize those things. For me, with a business, early on, it was really helpful to switch from calling it like my business started out as a blog, and I often called it my blogging time. But I think people didn't take it seriously, and I certainly didn't take it seriously. So I switched to realizing, like, no, this is my work time. And so, yeah, sort of having that, giving it the importance of respect that it deserves, whatever the activity is that you really want to fit in each day. Maybe for you, it's workouts. So I think blocking that time off and making sure that it happens most of the time. And it's okay if it slides the rest of the time and then you come right back into it. Um, so, yeah. And I think some of the things that we say no to right now in this season of life is, like I said, not a lot of other sports or other activities that the kids are a part of. We feel like they're getting their good education, basic education. We supplement with just what we teach them at home. We review a lot of their schoolwork with them to make sure they're getting like the best attention on spelling words and reading and things like that. But other than that, we're comfortable with their ages. We won't do a whole lot more, and that might shift later on. But that's been huge. Let's see. The other things that have been working right now, I know that for most of us, it's a struggle to put limits on device time or screen time for kids. And man, my husband and I call the TV our wonderful babysitter. Like, sometimes it is amazing to be able to put the kids in front of something and it just captures their attention. And so we definitely use that. But one of the things, like with video games, for example, we got a Nintendo Switch for the kids a few years ago, and we didn't want it to take over our lives where they're always asking to do that. So we just set some clear parameters, and we said, hey guys, the time that you get to play Nintendo Switch is Saturday mornings after chores. And other than that, you're not going to ask to do it. And if they do, then they might have some time knocked off of when they do get to do it. But just having some guidelines so they know when they're going to get to do video game time. We have also a set time when my preschooler is going to do some tablet time, when there's just like this wiggle room where I'm trying to get something done. And so there's just some rhythms where they know when to ask and when they don't have to ask. So that's been really neat. And even setting expectations, because obviously their peers are going to be getting devices of their own, whether they're smartwatches or their own phones. And so we know that's coming up, and we've already, told them that for our family, we've decided that until they absolutely need a phone to contact us, they're just not going to get one, because we don't want to steal away their attention from what the most important things in life right now, which is learning and play and time with other friends and their brothers. So they know already, like, you're not going to get a phone until you are driving, and it's probably going to be a dumb phone, and that way they're not constantly wanting it or asking for it. They just know when the time is going to come for that. So that's been helpful, just to set some guidelines around screens. Let's see. I think a couple of challenges for me personally. I think it's not ever been easy in the little years for me to be patient with this season. I don't know. I'm just very built to be very efficient about everything, and there's nothing efficient about little children, and that is fine. Like, I have learned that the most beautiful things in life are not efficient, and that is fine. So I think I've just had to learn, and for me, the biblical truth of like how Jesus treated little children and how he said, like, when you do this and this for the least of these, you're doing it for me. That is, to me, is hugely motivated. Like, when I am helping my kid wipe up the pee from the floor again, or help them tie their shoes or whatever it is, I am doing it, for Jesus. So that for me is very motivating and has helped me a lot. But it's certainly an ongoing thing that I'm having to like work through and change my mentality and be willing to slow down as I'm trying to speed up and make everything else efficient. So that is one thing. Um, I think also another challenge for me is like getting, I think because I love efficiency so much, it's getting to all those like little tasks that you have to do that pile up, like, calling about a bill or making an appointment, sort of like these little clerical jobs. Um, I tend to put them off for a long time. Now, I think there's a silver lining that I've put them off because it's one person I was reading how she handled this. She called them her mosquito task days. And so she calls these mosquito tasks, like you just got to swap them all at once. And they tend to be little, they don't take a lot of time, but they can really like be annoying and get into your day if you like do them whenever they pop up. And so she will set a time or a day and a time of an hour to like knock them all out. So I've tried to do that, and that really does help with that. Just have a day when you know you're going to be home and you can put all of those things aside. So I use the reminders app on my iPhone, and I'll just like list all those things out. And then when I know I have that hour, I'll knock them out and just get them done. That way they're not like taking up a bunch of time and taking me away from other tasks the rest of the time. Let's see. I think one final challenge I'll share for me is getting hobbies integrated into my life. Because to be honest, building a business feels like a hobby. I just really thrive on it. And I'm not ashamed to say like it is a hobby for me building my business. I think that's fine. I think when we find joy in our work, it can be like a hobby and it can really fill you up. However, I do know that it's good for me to invest in other areas that are just fun and refreshing. And so I've had to work to make time for those. Usually Sunday afternoons, I will enjoy doing something like putting together albums, photo albums, and um, just doing something creative that is not related to the business. And then I do try to take time off work in December. And then most of summer, I will kind of step away from the most of the, or at least big projects for the business. So I have just the margin to spend time, painting with my kids or yeah, just so to speak, air quotes, wasting time. It's not wasting time. It is using time to build yourself up and spend time with others, doing something other than the usual. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have said this so many times already in this podcast, and I know we're early in releasing episodes of it, but I think it goes to show that everyone has strengths and weaknesses, right? And even like you mentioned, the mosquito tasks, right? Like you heard a solution for that from someone else who maybe that was their strength, was like like getting all these little tasks and curating a list of them and saying, I'm going to tackle these on the same day. And like you were able to hear what someone else's strength was and start to apply it so that your own like challenge area could improve. And so that is something that's really cool about hearing the things that you're really great at and the routines you found that are working so that other people can try those. And then also just recognizing like all of us are learning from each other and integrating just different ideas, and it's all trial and error and that kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I was wondering if you would speak a little bit to the idea of burnout as well.
Yeah.
Whether that be, I think burnout can come in a lot of areas. Like we talk about it a lot with the business and like building a business and avoiding that. I know you mentioned like you take summers off, and I think burnout
Mm.
can come like in any good thing,
That's so true.
whether that
Yeah.
be um, even I think you can start to feel burned out raising your children. Like that sounds terrible, but
Hmm.
when that is everything that you're putting every last ounce of time and energy into. So what are some ways that you avoid that?
Yeah. Oh man, I feel really strongly about this because we want our daily lives to really be a rhythm that you're excited to get up for. But there's also the reality that sometimes, especially when things are not working smoothly, I feel like that's when we tend to feel that burnout. Like in the terms of a business, for example, I think when even if you're putting a lot of time in and work, if you're seeing the results, usually you're good. But burnout comes when you're like, I'm doing all this and it's not working, or it's just I'm still running into all these issues and I'm just tired of trying, right? So I think a couple of things that have helped both in business and in regular life is making sure that we really shape our days and whatever we spend our time on things that we enjoy. And so we have an incredible amount of like opportunity to shape our lives in the way that really works for us, and that is going to be different for each of us. But don't shape your life based on what everyone else is doing or what you think like other people have told you it needs to look a certain way. Whether that's from how you school your kids to how much of the cleaning in the house you do, how much of the cooking you do, whether you shop and look for discounts or you don't look for discounts and just look for the fastest way to get your groceries home. um, you need to really think through what are things that I enjoy doing and which ones drain me, and try to either eliminate the things that drain you or, again, delegate them to a short part of your week when you're doing all those mosquito tasks. So it's not a big part of your life. And I think also with regards to a business, I know I've seen a lot of women lately having to close it down. And it wasn't always, sometimes it was because, like, well, I just don't want to run a business right now. And I think there are really good reasons to do that. But it's just sad when it happens because, again, you're burnt out, you're tired, and you wish it would work, but you're just done. I think something that will really help with that is making sure that whatever side project you're working on, or maybe your job, if you have like a 9 to 5 that you work for someone else, try to make it something you really enjoy. So, like when I started my business, I focused on fashion because I knew I'd have fun with that. Um, and it would be a long-term thing that I was always learning as I did it. It would be a neat challenge, but I'd enjoy it. It was a topic I enjoyed. It wasn't just a trending topic. And then within that, how, like, what I choose to do or how I choose to grow the business has been very tailored to my personality. And so that comes with some loss, but some huge gains. So, for example, I don't do a lot of social media. Like, I'm not on social media personally a lot, and I'm not on stories. It's just not my personality type. I like to work more on the back end of it. And so that's what I spend my time on. And certainly, could I reach more people if I was more out there and they got to know me and saw my face all the time? Absolutely. And I think people can really grow that way. But would I still be running my business if I did that? No, I wouldn't. I'd just be so done with it because it would be incongruent with my personality and what I'm best at. So I wouldn't be excited to get up and do that job. So I think we really need to um, make choices about how we're going to do different things, knowing that it's you're thinking long term and you want to remain fueled and excited about those things. So we are each built differently, and there are a bazillion ways to run your life, and run a good life and a valuable life. So you just need to look at your values, look at what you are good at, and yeah, just build your schedule and the way that you run things in a way that, like, is not just you that you're looking at. You're certainly also considering your family members and what works for everyone, but just tailor make it to be something that you enjoy. One thing at a time. Certainly you can't do a whole makeover all at once, but even if you just brainstorm, what are the things that really bother me each week, or I dread this, and just make a list. And over time, slowly brainstorm ways to change that. And don't make the assumption it has to be that way. It could change.
Right. I feel like there's so many gems in there. I loved what you said at the beginning about how burnout comes when things aren't working. I don't think I'd ever quite put like those words to it, but you're so right. Like, I've had seasons working super hard, like way more hours, pouring into something than other seasons. And like those times where I am just like all in and things are going and things are like all of that, like that is when I'm having the most fun. And,
Yeah.
like, that's not when I'm getting burnt out, right?
Mhm.
But you're so right. And so, I think for anyone, whether it be with a business or if it's, you mentioned before, like workout goals, or some other routine, maybe even financial goals, like whatever it is that you're feeling burnt out on, you're feeling like this isn't working. Um, taking a step back and realizing that like the end goal like may still be a good goal. It just may be a matter of kind of like you said, assessing where you can start to make tweaks, where you can start to prioritize what really matters. And I think that when you can just acknowledge your personality,
Mhm.
and what is going to give you life. It may not give everyone else around you life, but are there things, Corina, that you would say like these are, choices our family makes or places we choose to spend money or time or energy because they're really important to us that like maybe other people wouldn't do, but like this is helping our family. Does that question make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll just give an example, and then hopefully this will help those listening to really think for them what this looks like, right? Um, well, for example, okay, well, let me actually talk about workouts because I am not someone that enjoys working out, and that was something where, like, you'll get obviously often the advice if you have little kids at home, like just do home workouts. It's easy. It's on YouTube. I never did them. I hated every moment doing it at home for various reasons. It just didn't work for me. And so for me, it was just made more sense to get out on a run, even if I'm bundled up because it's cold. Or what's working for me lately is I really enjoy doing a class. And so we just have a local gym nearby, and I go 1 to 2 times a week. A good week is 2 times, but usually it's like once, and sometimes I miss that. But I go in person and it's just like motivating, right? And I get through the whole 45 minutes to 50 minutes of the workout because everyone's doing it together. Otherwise, I just stop early and I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to go shower. um, so yeah, that, for workouts, that's what it looks like for us. And then the other thing is when it comes to like how to budget for groceries. Um, once upon a time, I tried the whole couponing thing and it just didn't stick for me. I came to realize that I really enjoy making more money so we have more of a budget versus saving money. So again, I think that it is different for each person, but I just found like it gave us the mindset of working from abundance and realizing there are so many ways to make money nowadays, that way you're not, because it takes a lot of time to find discounts. It takes a lot of planning to like, doing those stocking up your pantry at the right times. I think it can be done, and it's crazy how much money people save. Or you could spend that time just making that money. And especially if you're making that money in a way that's really fun and creative for you, like you are creating something that people love and you love doing it and you get to sell it. Um, so that's just one thing for us. And I think also what looks like abundance for each family is going to be very different. And it's important for you to think through what that looks like. What is that guy's name? Ramit Sethi. He has I think it's on Netflix, like a little short TV show that he helps people with their finances. And one of the concepts he talked about that it really resonated with me is to come up with what your rich life is, because that can look different for so many different people. Some people want to be, multimillionaires, and they want to be working a lot, and just like that motivates them to like get to that income level. And some people just want to be comfortable, and they want to do a little, have room for this activity and that activity. And so for us, one of those things is like, certainly our businesses bring in a comfortable income, but we don't want to work ourselves to death. We don't, like, we are comfortable with a certain amount of income that allows us to reach our investment goals, but then also have lots of time for the family and not experience burnout. But one of the ways that we're able to use our margins is doing Instacart. And it's even hard, even now, it's hard to spend that little extra money because like we just do Costco, Instacart. And so everything is a little bit more expensive. And my husband's like, I can go pick it up and we'll pay a little less, and I said, but no, but you can be home 2 hours earlier. And then I can, shop exactly for what I want, because often you're going to forget something in the store. I don't know. It just makes it so much simpler. And so doing Instacart is like one of those simple things that goes into what feels like a rich life. it can be simple like that, right? Um, Also having someone help clean the house weekly. And for me, I don't mind cleaning most of the house. It's the bathrooms that I absolutely hate. And so someone's going to clean the bathrooms for us each week. Or having some childcare for even a few hours a week. That goes into what feels like a really well balanced life for us. So I think it's really neat to think about that for yourself and just to be freed of what sometimes society makes it look like everyone should want. And it's not necessarily the case.
Exactly. I mean, I think that if we could all like stop and think about what is really going to make a difference. So, the funny example that popped in my head actually has to do with fashion, which you're the one who talks about fashion, not us at all. But I have noticed with myself, I am so much more likely to spend $30 on like a dress that I'm going to wear a dozen times in my entire life because it had a really fun pattern and all of this. And like, I might even wear it, but like something way more out of the norm. Like, it feels kind of exotic and exciting and like, oh, I could like wear this on a beach on a vacation instead of like a cardigan that I'm going to wear every single week, but until the thing completely falls apart. Like, for some reason, like, I'm just more drawn to like the super exciting thing. And if I can sit down and realize that like the boring thing, like buying the cardigan that like, oh yeah, like I would actually wear this all
Mm.
the time. This is super comfortable, super functional. Like, I almost don't have fun spending money on like the really boring thing, but I'm going to get so much more benefit from it. And so like that's what I hear when you describe like spending money on Instacart. That
Yeah.
may not be everyone's thing. You know, if someone listening, you're like, oh, I love going to the grocery store. It doesn't stress me out at all. Like, I take my kids to the grocery store and we have a great time. Like, then maybe Instacart isn't the thing for you, but maybe there is something that it's like, it almost feels, it either feels boring or you feel bad, like one or the other. And realizing that, like, no, like, I'm not spending, you know, let's say it's 20 extra dollars that you're spending on Instacart to get your groceries delivered. I'm not spending $20 because I'm lazy or I can't
Mhm.
go to the store. Like, I'm spending $20 because I want the 2 hours at home. Like,
Mhm.
that is really where that money is going. So
Yeah,
I know
and
there was kind of a
also,
lot of thoughts at once, but like just reframing that. I love that concept.
yeah, yeah, and also like with the Instacart, for example, it's funny. After you check out, they're like, "We just saved you an hour," and I'm like, "No, you saved me 2 hours, and you saved me peace of mind and
Yes.
low stress level." Like, there's a lot that goes into that. It's more than just time and money. So, you know, there's only so many. You only have so much energy, like mental energy too, to give to things. And so, when you can take one big task out and have your groceries delivered, you're giving the job to someone else and you feel a lot happier with your day. Yeah, and actually, that was a really good point about sometimes what can spend our money on to give us the most sort of balanced feeling life. Sometimes it does feel kind of boring, but it does offer a lot of value. And like with fashion, that's something where ever since we came up with our checklist of women's essentials, I need to shop from that list because, yeah, there are usually I will want to shop for more of the very same thing, more tops, and I don't really need that. There's probably another basic essential that's going to go farther. And every day I'm going to be glad that I had bought that simple, boring essential that goes with everything and kind of completes the outfit, right? So that's a really good example.
Yeah. And I think also just recognizing that everyone has different seasons of life. You know, like if we come back in 5 years and do another interview here, like you may be like, guess what? All of my kids are now in school and I've decided that I want the money from Instacart to go to some other thing that lets
Mhm.
me spend more time with my kids when they're home from school or something like that. Like, nothing has to be like a permanent investment. You don't have to always use Instacart. You don't have to always have a weekly house cleaner. You could even say, like, if you're feeling nervous about making that decision, because I think that's the other side is people who are like, man, like paying someone to come clean my house, like that just like sounds, I don't know, like I'm putting like, you know, you are delegating and like that is a good thing, but like, it can come with some sort of like guilt or fear or uncertainty or like, what are people going to think? Like, what if you just tried it for a quarter? You know, like for the first 3 months of the year or something like that. Like, what if you gave it a try and then reassessed? You can know, I mean, more than likely upfront, like how much is it going to cost if for the next 3 months we try this and just live with it, try it on for a little while, so to speak, and then see how that affects your family and if it is if it's giving you the value that you're paying for it, not just that your groceries are being delivered or your house is being cleaned, but like, are you finding that like less stress and more peace from that?
Yeah, absolutely. And also with like with the house cleaning, for example, I think I tried a few different versions of that that didn't work out at first, like hiring
Yes.
through an agency. And I was like, I don't know. It was hard to find a match with the right person that had good ratings, that was available in the times that I needed and all that. And then for us, we just landed on our my cousin watches the kids on Wednesdays, and so she's also has a cleaning business, and so she cleans the house when they're napping, and so that worked for us. But I think you could find even, a teenager or someone that's trying to make some money on the side, and they can do the cleaning for you or whatever. And even if it's not done perfectly, just knowing that there's going to be a basic cleaning done regularly, and then I can go in and like do a little extra every once in a while, it still makes a big difference to take that burden off my mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, as we kind of wrap up our conversation here, I have one question I ask every single person who comes onto our podcast. What is one thing that's bringing you less stress and more peace right now?
Yeah, I think I'd have to say how I manage my phone. Um, you know, Getting drawn to my phone and checking it often is just something that I think most of us have to deal with that, right? And
Yeah.
there's just it's just so there's the world on that phone. There's so much that you could do. I could run a lot of my business from it and stuff. And so what I've found is like not having notifications for anything except text messages. um yeah, every other notification is turned off because I don't it's not urgent, and so I don't want to be pulled to it. The other thing is I looked for a while into getting, a very basic phone that did not have a lot of functions so that I wouldn't be drawn to it. But what I found is like, well, I'm still going to need my regular phone for the camera, for the good quality camera. Google Calendar is something that I use and it's so helpful, and like my reminders app, these are really helpful tools that do help me to streamline my day. I don't want to remove that from my life. So what I've found is I just had to think about what are the apps that I do compulsively want to open, and I either restricted access to those. So I get a little notification when my time is up. I'm like, I can't check that anymore today. Um, or I've just removed them from my phone. If it's not something I really need to check, when I'm not away from my computer, then I just wait till I'm at my computer to check whatever that is. So for each of us, it's going to be different what it is that we compulsively check. But I think having some safeguards, and so basically, in a way, turning my smartphone into a dumb phone, um, while allowing me to still use those tools that really work. That's really helped with my peace, and not just having this like, notification come up time after time, or even just personally being compelled to go check it on it. So that's been a huge thing. It's just making my smartphone a lot dumber. And my goal is to lose it every day and not know where it is, because everyone's going to be just fine. There is 911. I am not the savior of everyone. So yeah, I think that's helped a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love how you said that you turned your smartphone into a dumb phone because you're so right. Like I need my Google Maps. I
Yeah,
can't
exactly. That's another
we're not
thing.
going anywhere if I don't have my Google Maps. And so
Yeah.
being able I feel like that all like kind of comes full circle of what we've been talking about. Like what are the things that are serving you and what are the things that are not, and how can you bring in more of the things that are serving you and lessen the things that are not. So
hmm Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely. Mm.
Yeah. Well, Corina, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with us today. We will definitely leave a link to your blog down below. Is that the best place for people to find you?
Yep, they can find me at frumpfighters.com. That's our social media. And then shop.frumpfighters.com is our website.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I guess I said down below. I mean, in the show notes. That may be below or above, depending on where you're listening on this, but we'll put a link to that in the show notes. And Corina, thank you so much for just spending this time with us today.
Well, thanks for having me on, Tasha.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for listening in on my conversation with Corina from Frump Fighters. You can find the link to her blog in the show notes. And I hope that these tips and ideas and strategies for daily routines give you and your family less stress and more peace. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.